Well, it's an absolute honor to be at this auspicious venue tonight. This really is a shining light on the hill. It's a signifier of freedom for other South Africans, and I think that all of you are here tonight is just a wonderful way of welcoming the Free Market Foundation on its new journey. I've had the honor of appearing on behalf of the Free Market Foundation's Rule of Law project in 3 quite big cases, 2 before the Constitutional Court and 1 before the Supreme Court of Appeal. One that really doesn't get enough attention, and it was something done with Sakeliga, is on the setting aside of the preferential procurement regulations put in place by the Minister of Finance. It is bang for buck, probably one of the greatest pieces of litigation ever run in this country. The billions of rands of value that have been opened up to private businesses because of that litigation is just absolutely startling for a very small amount of money. It shows you the power of strategic litigation. In brief, what the case was about was that in 2017, the Minister of Finance had made it near impossible for certain businesses to compete in government tenders on the basis of the race of their owners, regardless of the race of their staff. So if you were a business like Fidelity Guarding Company, who joined that litigation, who employ 50,000 black men to guard the country and to guard sort of, government structures around the country, you were told because the owners of your business are white, you will not be entitled to compete. And so what you had instead was that mayors in small towns could then deny them the ability to put forward a tender, and their brother or cousin who just started a guarding business fortuitously 2 weeks ago could instead participate, and of course charge at a very different price because you took out this person from the marketplace. And because of Sakeliga's efforts and because of the Rule of Law project's intervention in that case, we were ultimately successful. 5-4, by the way. So it was a tight victory, but one that has really made it much easier for all South Africans to compete in a free marketplace, regardless of their race, recognizing that non-racialism is one of those important values enshrined in Section 1 of our Constitution and an important idea behind any liberal institution. We'd also been involved in a case We'd also been involved in a case in the Constitutional Court involving the Zionist Federation and Mangani Masuku. Masuku had made a number of highly anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist statements, and the Rule of Law project's role was to try and assist the court in determining where the line is between free speech and genuine hate speech. We took the view that you should try and be as protective of free speech as possible, that our Constitution sets a very wise boundary between freedom of expression and hate speech, and ultimately took the view that the speech uttered by Mr. Masuku, which called for harm to be perpetrated against Jewish families, crossed that line. We now are at a time where we're seeing anti-Semitism rear its ugly head again around the world. And I'm very proud to have been able to act for the Rule of Law project in that case, which will then set a precedent for future hate speech cases. We also then acted in this recent litigation around Kill the Boer. The concern that we've seen over the last couple of years is that as much as there is an established rule about what constitutes free speech and what constitutes hate speech, partly from the Masuku case and partly from another matter in which I appeared involving John Kolani, we find that the courts have been less even-handed in their approach, that cases where it appears so obvious to every person that you're dealing with genuine hate speech is viewed as protected, and cases where it's quite obviously protected speech, people have been sanctioned. And so we then pointed out to the Supreme Court of Appeal the importance of the rule of law, the importance of treating people equally before the law, regardless of their race. But taking into consideration, as the international norms require us to do, which is to take into account the status of the speaker, that if you're a little old lady like Penny Sparrow in the middle of nowhere, you have absolutely no power. If you're Julius Malema and you run the 3rd biggest political party in the country, polling at 17% for the next elections, if you can command 90,000 people at a stadium and that you can openly call for the murder of people on the grounds of their ethnic group, that's speech worth paying attention to. And that the rules must be applied evenly. So we were able to produce our arguments in front of that court. I also think something that Peter's raised that's very important is that there are not many people in South Africa who are willing to fight for freedom. Some of them are scared, but there are some who've put up their heads, put up their hands, gotten stuck in and do the work, and it's important that you support those organizations. Sarkalik is doing wonderful work, the Free Market Foundation is doing wonderful work, as is the Institute for Race Relations, as is AfriForum and Solidarity. I think as well that recognizing that when groups are targeted on the grounds of their race or their beliefs, that it's worth protecting each other, even if you're not a member. That the council who acted for the Human Rights Commission on behalf of the Zionist Federation in the Masuku case is Afrikaans. And that meant an enormous amount to the Jewish community, that he was willing to defend their interests. And I find it one of the great pleasures that I have to act on behalf of the Afrikaans community, to protect people that are persecuted on the grounds of their ethnicity. So thank you very much for tonight. I look forward to celebrating with you for many years to come.